Yeah, so I did the shorts on it while I was out there. But you can't comprehend what the experience was like with that level of wealthy bacon, I'll say. Fancy steakhouse. I mean, they let me in with my t-shirt, but that was just probably because I was with people. Just tremendous place. Ordered the steak, ordered the sides. They come over. I guess someone ordered appetizers for the table. Fried bacon. Not just like they put it in the front, like breaded, crispy on the outside, like a chicken nugget, but with bacon. I mean, it was absolutely the best thing I've ever put in my mouth. Steve Weiner here from GetRubix.com, and we're back with our PowerShell best practices. Is it best practices for PowerShell and Intune? PowerShell Intune thing. We're going to keep going today by talking about error handling. I'll be honest, I ate that steak on was it a Monday? Not that the whole thing was downhill, but even regular bacon can't compete.
GetRubix, solving for the modern workplace.
Okay, so our goal is going to be to go through PowerShell and talk all about, best practices as you use it for Intune. No circle. True, there's no circle. The circle broke. I can't put it back without spending a lot of time on it. Who cares? Do you like the circle? Are you going to miss the circle? I mean, I understand it's a professional thing, but let's just try it without it and see if anyone actually cares. It's a circle. Okay, so we already had our log function from last time, and we're going to build upon that as we talk about error handling. So the first kind of error handling is try catch. That's basically when you try to do something and then you want to catch the error by writing something out. So let's start with something that we know won't work. So I'm going to do a get content. See, let's call this nofile.txt. This is a file I know doesn't exist. So let's try to run this, see what happens. Cannot find path, right? So we got something back, but we didn't get the detail we wanted to. So in this case, what I want to do is put this in a try catch. So if it fails, I can write my own error. So when you start typing try, if you're in Visual Studio Code or an IDE, you're going to see the try catch block, and you could hit enter for it to tab out for you. I'm just going to do it manually for us. So we're going to do try brackets. Okay, open those, and then underneath catch and the same thing. So let's do try to get content, see nofile.txt. And then if it fails, we're going to catch that with a log. Something went wrong. But in order to suppress the built-in one, we're going to have to tell PowerShell, hey, for your built-in error action, because they are built in, they just don't give us the information we want, we can say stop. So it knows that we want to catch that. Now when we run it, look what happened. We went to run it and we got our something went wrong log. And of course our log function is putting in the date and time and our message. Okay. Now what you could do is, let's say you wanted to know exactly what went wrong, right? This is just telling me what I write. But if we don't know the type of error, what's really nice about PowerShell and try catches is we can put a $_ that'll print the iterative error. So it'll catch that error and point it out to us. So watch this now. So look at this. If you look at my log, here, let's just look down here. It says something went wrong, cannot find path, see no file because it does not exist. So I was able to combine my own text with the actual error from PowerShell. So it's really important you do that, right? So that you can, have your own messaging and see what went wrong. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a get process. Name is going to be a fake process. We're not going to grab a real one, but we're going to put an error action of silently continue, meaning it's just going to go ahead, right? So what we have to do is, now that we know the $, right, is the, what just happened, we can do an if question, $question, code block. We're going to log success. successfully found fake process. And then from there, we'll do an else log process, not fake process, not found. All right, let's check this. All right, so we got fake process not found. All right, but now looking at the dollar question mark, right, kind of drilling into that. So dollar question mark is a true false thing, right? It takes the last process and basically just says to us, hey, did the thing that just happened, was it true or false? Then from there, we can do things. Now, an alternative here is doing last exit code, right? So last exit code is going to be, you know, how it'll actually display if it's not true or false, right? Because some processes don't actually have just true or false. They have different exit codes, right? So if we do this, right, it's the same thing. But let's go ahead and see what last exit code looks like. So if we were to say ping 127.0.1, right, this is something that was successful. So if I want to do last exit code, I'm going to get a 0, right? 0 is a success in PowerShell. It tells us that, hey, a thing ran with no issues, 0 issues. Now let's ping something that won't return. Ping 256, 256, 256, 256. Okay, no way that's working. Now let's do the last exit code. That's going to be a 1. We had 1 issue, right? So sometimes you're installing applications, you're doing file copies. You want to take different actions on whatever just happened to you. So let me give you a scenario here. Get item path, C file path, exclude something, right? And then we're going to install something else. I'm making up I don't know what this is. We're installing something. Path file, whatever. So you're gonna do some operation in PowerShell. It could be anything, right? You could say if the last exit code is equal to 0, you can move on or log something successful. Else if, because now you don't just have to do else, you can do else if, right? The last exit code is equal to something you know. So maybe the application throws a 2. You can say, write an error specifically to deal with exit code 2. And then you can just do an else, maybe if it's not 0 or 2, deal with all other exit codes. So exit codes are important because they're going to vary depending on what you're doing. Now, if you want the full details of an error, what you can do is, let's do something else we know will fail. 1 divided by 0, that's not going to come out with anything. So we will catch log, we'll say caught an error, but instead of just the $_ we're going to do $ parentheses and then $_ exception dot message. And this is going to give us the entirety of our error. So let's run this. Caught an error, attempted to divide by 0. So if we decide to start transcribing, right? So we're going to do start transcript path, C, program data, Microsoft, Intune management extension, logs, and we'll call this log name. So let's do our log name. Last time we did the same thing. It was get date format. We were doing year, month, day, minute, second, plus We were calling this our log.log. Okay, so that's our log name. There should be a dash in that. So, oh, right. And we can't have those here. Can't have colons in there. So you have to put dashes. Okay. All right. So this was the name we used for our log. So that's starting the log there. So let's start by doing the try catch for the 1 divided by 0. Try 1 divided by 0. Catch log. Couldn't do this. Exception message. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll do a get content c no file dot text error action silently continue, and then we'll put a if it was there, we will log found file else log could not find file. All right, we got that. We can do a process and then do the exit code. So we could say ping 256 256 256 256, and then we'll say log the last exit code was last exit code, and then we'll stop the transcript and let's see what happens. So let's run this whole thing. Okay, so now what we do is we open up our folder. So let's go to that location, program data. There it is from today, our log. We open it up and let's see what we got. So transcript started. Couldn't do this. Attempted to divide by 0. Could not find the file, right? Then we have ping requests. Could not find host. Please check name and try again. The last exit code was 1. Right now, if we didn't want the ping thing to give the built-in error, we could also add an error action to that. But if we're adding an error action there, another thing we can do is we can add an error action for everything. So there is a built-in variable called error action preference, and we can make that equal to silently continue. So I don't have to write this every time. They're all going to silently continue. So now when I run this and we go back here, this is our latest one. Now we don't have the ping thing. We just say what our last exit code was. So we've silenced all the built-in errors. Having good logging and writing the logs is kind of pointless if we don't have any details to actually read in those. So that's why the error handling is so important, right? So just some takeaways from this. You want to get used to things like, doing the try catch, right? Don't just assume something is going to work. Put the catch on it so that you can document the error if it fails, right? Same thing with if else. Give yourself alternative actions, or at least capture those exit codes, and then remember just as many details as possible so that when we're testing things, the logs are valuable, because that's the point of the logs. And I say this not because I'm great at it, it's because I was terrible at it, right? And I would just write stuff, and if it worked, it worked. And the error handling always came last for me. So now I know to think about error handling first. It'll just make your scripts that much better. All right. Let me know what you do for error handling, for logging, and if this is helpful for you as you're working with your scripts in Intune, and we'll be seeing you.